I'm officially beginning to tear up.
Right.
Feeling this. So it's settling in.
You know you are a hot one. We are lime, we are laugh, we are chat, we no chill, we are hot one.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Daniel Loveless, and welcome to Hot Ones Caribbean. It's that show with the hot questions and even hotter wings. Now, today we hold court with the Attorney General of Trinidad and Tobago, Member of Parliament for San Fernando West, and Minister of Legal Affairs, Faris Al-Rawi. Now, this man, he's part Iraqi, part Trinbagonian, but 100% Caribbean. He is not only known as the hot one amongst the Trinidad and Tobago government ministers, but also known as the hot one amongst the ladies. With over 2 decades of experience, he is known in the highest chambers as a legal problem solver and currently upholds a family legacy of life in public office as a 3rd-generation parliamentarian.
Wow, all of that just for me. Just a joy and a pleasure to be here. Not so sure about the hot ones. We'll see if I survive. You'll say a prayer for me. If you could smell the pepper and your eyes could feel it, you would run out of this room. But we're not running out today. Looking forward to this. Thank you, hot ones, for having me on, and pray we make it through.
You can handle the heat in the courtroom, but you think you could handle the heat on the Hot Ones Caribbean?
Well, the best amount of heat has really come outside of the courtroom, because the trick is to avoid the courtroom. So in the corporate boardroom, in the chambers outside of it, that's where you really get your tempo. No pun intended, but at the end of the day, it's really about trying to find a solution, present it, bring it forward, and hope that people are happy with it.
I think you'll fight a good fight. I hear like karate, Faris, sure?
I am a staunch karateka, Shotokan karate, did some wushu kwan, done some aikido. Big part of my life. I think you need to have a balance between spirit, body, and your whole perspective.
Well, I hope at the end of this interview you could teach me a thing or two.
We there.
So, AJ, we're gonna start things off a little slow here. With the first pepper sauce here, we have the Peri-Peri tamarind and bird pepper sauce. It's actually a homemade sauce from Trinidad and Tobago. Well, let me try the thing out now. The man not only trying it out, but the man just grew the thing at home as well. Alright.
Prime Minister can't be the only guy growing a garden, right? Quote unquote.
Cheers to more life.
Cheers to more life. You know, I've had Peri-Peri before, and this is just better. Peri-Peri. This is the Caribbean version of it. Respect. First time I've had this. I love it.
I'm happy to hear like the thing. And I didn't expect it to do anything to you. I mean, as they say, you grow anything home. So I don't expect it to do much to you.
I'll bring it home to the garden as proof of life, right?
As the sitting Attorney General, I know you've litigated on a lot of high-profile matters, right? So tell me about one of the biggest cases that you've handled. You win?
Well, law is not a matter of winning or losing. Law is a matter of achieving a result. Because sometimes you have a case that is a bound to lose case, but the principle that comes out of it is what you want. As AG, I can say that it's been a privilege to actually handle the meaty stuff in society. Are you talking reform? Are you talking about saving laws? So the gamut, the range has been very wide. What I can say is that the most passionate cases are the ones that tug your heartstring. And I probably select out the child matters. Things that treat with bettering the lives of children systemically. And by systemically, I mean, will this case precedent itself to change the rest of how we deal with it? So we've had a tremendous amount of work in the Children's Court, which we were very pleased to create in Trinidad and Tobago. It's not an easy path. I mean, we have child offenders for murder. And when you look at young teenagers incarcerated in remand for murder, you ask yourself, what took a child to that place? So building the change around that has been the most rewarding aspect.
Right.
It's a long way of answering your question about litigation, but litigation is not just the victory. Litigation is the journey and principle to come out of it.
Reminds me of a quote, you know, that the wealth of a man does not lie in his material possessions, but his ability to affect people positively.
Absolutely.
So we do commend you, AG, on your ability to affect people positively.
No medals needed. This is pure service. This is a joy and a privilege to be able to do it right. Geez, there are a lot of mistakes along the way, and you have to learn to love up those mistakes because they are, with modern media, constantly in your face and portrayed. So, you know, you have to take this with a bag of salt.
So talking about in your face, Faris, we're gonna move on to the next sauce, which is right in your face.
Bam, got it.
Which is the totally tasty Basil hot sauce.
Perfect blend of Caribbean herbs and spices. Oh, they even went so far as to say what it means. I mean, that's very kind of them to say Basil, confusingly tasty.
Have you ever seen Marshall's movie, Basil?
Of course I've seen. I'm a big Marshall fan. Marshall is a press man. He's from South. He's my boy. So respect to Marshall.
Can we try the pepper now?
Yeah, man. So here we go.
Know the pepper now.
And
now
here
you know.
Go.
Now you're a third generation parliamentarian. Your grandfather was also a lawyer. And law just runs in the blood. Did you feel pressured to become a lawyer?
Not at all. Guys, this odd name that I have on bear, Faris Al-Rawi, is an Iraqi name. Not many Iraqis on this side of the earth. So, on my dad's side, interestingly enough, they've had about 7 generations of political or societal involvement. And on my mom's side, folks, it's true. 5'2" and under women are dangerous. My mom, Diane Sukran is her name, is a powerhouse of a human being. And I think she is, just after my sister, the kindest human being that I knew. And I recall vividly having absolutely no ambition for politics. Why? That wasn't for me. So I was along that line, pursuing sciences, maths, physics, and chemistry at A levels, had ambitions of becoming a doctor, and lo and behold, stopped. Had a life moment where I figured, is this really for me? Met a very interesting person who said, do something you get better with age. Right. Wasn't quite clear then, but made total sense later. At school, at Presentation College, everybody had to become an engineer, or everybody had to become a doctor. Politicians and lawyers occupy very interesting spaces on the level of confidence in society. If you ask people to rank people that they have confidence in or like, lawyers are second to last, and politicians are last. So imagine being both.
And you
But I'll tell you this, no pressure. It was just organic public service, and one thing led to another.
Yes.
Having qualified as a lawyer and engaged in practice, I found myself more and more involved in charitable and societal work. Needless to say, coming from a political family, it was always second nature to be involved in community and service and projects. And therefore it sort of flowed pretty neatly in there.
No pressure.
No pressure. Perhaps a lot of gentle guiding. I've got 3 kids, very strong-minded, very independent. One's far into medicine, the other one's into dentistry, and the third one is threatening as a fallback, maybe law.
This edition of Hot Ones Caribbean is brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and the Arts, Trinidad and Tobago. This edition of Hot Ones Caribbean is brought to you by Be Mobile.
So we're gonna move on to the next pepper sauce, which is the third pepper sauce actually, Maggi Spicy with Shadow Benny.
Oh geez, I love Shadow Benny.
Serious?
Yeah man, big stuff there man.
Yeah, they're throwing a little Shadow Benny in the thing to get the thing a little zest in it.
Shadow Benny, grow it in your yard.
So you grow that in your yard too?
Pick it. I used to when I was a child. No dip and twist there guys, notice I got no instructions this time.
Don't worry, we'll get there. I like the little zest that after it with, with the Shadow Benny in it. But talking about zest, AJ, you like Trinidad music? You know what's Trinidad music?
Listen now, come on, you can't come from San Fernando West and not know what Trinidad music. The question is which version, which type, and which selection, because they're broad.
Tell me about your favorite versions, type, selections, and favorites of Trinidad music.
If I were to do that, think about all the people I'm going to leave out at this point, and all the people who are going to be upset with me at this point. So we have a section 5 of the Constitution, like the Americans, where you plead the 5th.
Yes.
And this is not a cop-out. It's because I really support the local artists
Okay.
and our regional artists, because we've got some serious young talent. I confess to liking Young Swanee. Pretty good stuff inside of there.
Yeah.
There's a young lady who I heard of the other day. I can't remember her name. First time I heard her music, I was on a space the other night. I just remembered it's Annalie Prime, and she was just awesome. I think I'll take her as number 1 for the moment because she was just so fresh.
Absolutely. So this age approves of Trinidad music. He likes Trinidad music.
Yeah, man.
And in what spaces do you listen to it though? Like, you know?
Okay. The pump. The pump is anywhere again a sweat. It could be Skinner Park, taking a run. The campaign trail, if you ever come on a campaign with me in San Fernando West, we do 10 kilometers a day.
Right.
Minimum.
So AG, from the time you're touching on the scene in 2010 as opposition senator, the fashion choices have been top notch. What's the inspiration behind these fashion choices?
Well, that depends upon who you're asking, right? So if you ask my 3 kids, the top notch is on the bottom of the ladder. If you ask a few other people, it's kind of interesting. No real choice, no intention. Present yourself out right. I think it's more a matter of making sure you fit your clothes. And when you enter into public life, you realize you're buying less clothes. Right? So you gotta make sure you can still fit your clothes.
So the AG like the gym?
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Totally. You have to have that balance. Mind, body, spirit. The human nature was made to have balance.
So we're now going to move to the next pepper sauce, AG. Alvin's hot pepper sauce, an award-winning pepper sauce.
Yeah, I kind of in this mid-zone thinking that the bird pepper sauce was still stingy for number 1. This is good.
And he took a deep dive there.
Getting brave, folks.
So from a young age, I know you've been traveling back and forth from Iraq. Tell me about some of your visits there.
Iraq, the birthplace of civilization. Urban comes from Ur. Ur is in Iraq. My dad always made sure to impact that origin upon us. The land of Mesopotamia, the land of the 2 rivers.
Like the pepper mashing it up over there.
Folks, I think I'm taking my first sip of milk here.
You need to enjoy some milk, some lactose-free milk actually.
Dear Milk, welcome back. Yeah, thank you, Milk, for being back with me today. So, Iraq is a phenomenal place. We would spend occasions there where we'd be visiting with family, usually in the very hot summer months. And it was good to connect with your root and your culture. Trinidad was the beauty of the melting pot. Because it's only when you got older you understood how much of a melting pot Trinidad and Tobago is and how beautiful this is.
Talk to me some more about what you love about Tobago, AG.
Alright, don't catch me here for corny and touristy, but I love Pigeon Point. Especially as it's getting a little bit later in the afternoon and you could just float.
Corny.
Yeah, it's corny. You land in Tobago and all the pressure comes off. Right? So as a Trinidadian going to Tobago, I am jealous all the time. It's serene. It's peaceful. Nature just seems to work differently there. But I had to tell you that the pepper beginning to hit me a little bit. So I'm going to brave some more of this milk. I am lactose intolerant, so
enjoy the milk, and that's why it's lactose free.
And it's really tasty. So it's fat content 3.5%. Lactose free, but I like it. Enjoy. I mean, what a good name. I have to confess, I haven't had it before. Because I'm just not a milk person, but I'm gonna look for this.
You've had it right here on the hot ones.
Thank you.
You know you are a hot one. We are lime, we are laugh, we are chat, we no chill, we are hot one. Temperature rise, be a vibes in ya, this a hot one. Link up, connect, bust a sweat when you're up on the hot one. We gonna spice it up like fire.
This edition of Hot Ones Caribbean is brought to you by the National Lotteries Control Board. Now let's create benefits. This edition of Hot Ones Caribbean is brought to you by the U.S. Virgin Islands. Like, comment, and subscribe.
The Caribbean views. What's the latest in Caribbean?
And we're gonna move on to the next pepper sauce, which is the Caribbean flavor, the Sizzler.
Yeah. Here we go. Say a
All
prayer,
right.
folks.
There we go. Have
Dip-
a shot glass up.
Dip.
Step 1, you dip. Step 2, you let it go.
Oh, jeez.
Step 3, you just press it down right before it fall out.
When you're a government minister, you make sure the wing is big enough not to go into the sauce all the way down, so you get away.
And step 3, you bite in.
This is good.
Telling you, you're a hot one right now, you know. Seeing you all over the place.
I really need to get to the grocery more often myself.
You know, making some appearances on social media, seeing you on Vibes with Voices, seeing you on a
yeah.
number of shows. You know, we're gonna do something together as
Can
well.
I say this?
Tell me.
Politicians need to get out of the regular space. We need to be in places where we're relevant.
Why so?
If you line up the average 16 to 25-year-old
Yeah.
and you put everybody in parliament with a number in a lineup,
Yeah.
and they say, who's that guy? Who's that lady? 99% of us are unknown to people.
Yes.
Therefore, our relevance is in question. Surely you can't be representing a population if you're unknown and if you're not facing hard questions. So I've been diving into the non-traditional, which are now traditional spaces. I think it important to encourage conversation amongst influencers.
And then AJ, what do you say to the people who say that, you know, because I did see a lot of backlash with everything else. So what do you say with to the people who say that there's so much going on in the country, but the AG is on Twitter? Because that's how they just
Yeah, well, you
painted
know,
it.
I've come to realize that truth is a passenger to opinion.
Right.
And right now the world is about opinion and choice. And now you choose your version of truth. When you think about it, really, people choose their version of truth. And this access to information that we have, we're swimming in that ocean of choice. Opinion becomes interesting because now people are more interested about an instant comment.
Yes.
Right? I'm out there first. Not what I said or whether it's true or whether it can be tested. So I don't mind the commentary. The commentary one way or the other means at least they're thinking about it. What they walk away with in the sobriety of their space and mind is a different situation. I am feeling that pepper. This is Trinidad Scotch bonnet pepper. I'm feeling it.
Yeah, it's burning up. So what guides your decisions on where to be? And how and when?
What guides my decisions?
Yeah.
I have an amazing team of people that think for me. Naz, Sadiq, Makesi,
Wow.
Mom, Chabeth, my criminal justice team. I like to build teamwork.
Yeah.
I like people to have the liberty to be free in their space. But I really am guided by those around me that have the time and space to think in very broad ways, and then we come back and we strategize.
So when we topic of teams, you know, ahead of the 2020 general election, you and your team launched an app. Whose idea was that?
That was Makesi Peters, young entrepreneur from Mbakade. Brilliant team. Sadiq Hussein, Makesi Peters. Those are the engine forces behind the app and keeping me relevant and keeping politicians relevant, because this is a cut and paste thing that you can use, right?
This edition of Hot Ones Caribbean is brought to you by Unipet. This edition of Hot Ones Caribbean is brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and the Arts, Trinidad and Tobago.
We're gonna move to the next pepper sauce, right? And with this pepper sauce, we like to take it up a notch a bit.
Oh, geez.
So the next pepper sauce is called the House of Tempo pepper sauce. And this pepper sauce is actually Tempo's very own pepper sauce.
Oh, hey, Tempo, if all they get me, it's trouble, eh?
3, 2, 1, take a nice bite.
This is good. Y'all been hiding this. Is it available everywhere?
Not yet, but it's coming soon.
This is good. I like the Tempo.
So what does being a Caribbean man mean to you, Faris?
Caribbean men, we need to respect our women. That's the first thing I'll say. In that little blend of culture that I come from, Arab men are bound, particularly Muslim Arab men, to a precedent. You have to look after your sister, you have to look after your mother. It's why inheritance in Islam goes the way it does. But there is no greater tragedy than being disrespectful to the vulnerable. Your elders and your sisters, your mothers, etc. So Caribbean men, we need to step up to the plate. What do I think a Caribbean man should be? Enjoy the fun, enjoy being as loved as we are by our mothers in particular, but I really want to just focus on the respect.
Absolutely. So we should respect our women, basically.
I think we should respect the enjoy, because I'm feeling the tempo right now.
Yes,
right?
yes, the tempo
So
raise
corny.
until after this one.
Guys, I'm getting a little bead of sweat on the mouth.
That's alright, that's alright.
That tells you the tempo game.
The tempo is getting high.
Yeah.
AJ, who's your favorite Caribbean entertainer outside of Trinidad and Tobago? You're going to hit my technical answer for this
So
one.
you just discounted Marshall, you just discounted Kess, you just discounted Bungie, you just discounted all of the big names in Trinidad whom I love, Destra, everybody. But anyway, Caribbean wise, I had to say, hold me here, King Bubba.
Okay.
Let me tell you why.
I want to know why.
Bubba is, and respect to Adam over here, Bubba brings a very interesting outside the box Caribbean, right? So Bubba doesn't look Caribbean. If you tell Bubba that, he wouldn't agree with you. But Bubba brings an energy to Bajan music that's different. It's not your red plastic bag.
Right.
It's not your other kind of stuff there. It's a different vibe. Jamaica is just so solid. I mean, you just love the whole of Jamaica, right? I mean, it's hard to choose. Grenada's bringing some awesome talent these days.
Yeah.
And we all know that. But I think the guy that kind of twists things on the traditional or non-traditional side, I'd give it to Adam. I give it to King Bubba.
All right. Let me see if I know this next one, right? Which Caribbean artist, and where is he from also, sang the song Hot Hot Hot?
Oh geez, such a much twisted song. The original version, I can hear it in my head right now.
Feeling hot, hot, hot.
I know the song. I just trying to get the name. I mean, I was just too young, right? Yeah, I was just
young.
too young. I hearing the laughter all down the producers in this show here now, not believing me and saying I was too young.
Right.
I just can't remember.
Arrow,
Jesus, Arrow.
Montserrat,
Yeah. Montserrat. I stand corrected. See why you must love your mistakes. What I was telling a little bit earlier, so it's Arrow.
So we're gonna move to the next pepper sauce right now, which is the Bertie's pepper sauce. I hear you like that.
Yeah, man. My daughter, Janan, is the biggest Bertie's fan. If Janan is packing to go back to university, is where my Bertie's.
Well, I know you know how this tastes, so this one shouldn't really shake up the
Ready to
palate
roll.
too much. You take two dips.
Honestly, Bertie's is boss.
You like
Seriously, it's real good.
it? All right. So we have a segment on the show, AG, called What You Know.
Big fan, as you know, of what you know.
Thank you so much.
Afraid to say what I don't know.
So we have a recurring segment on this show called What You Know, right? And it's a question where we delve into the minds of our guests to see what they know, in an effort to educate and to entertain. So today, we're going to see what the AG know. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions, not the typical 5 like I ask on the streets,
Afraid.
but for each question,
I'm literally sweating on this one. Go ahead.
for each question you answer incorrectly, you need to take a second. If you answered correctly, I will take a second.
Well, seeing that it's Bertie's and I really like Bertie's, you'll never know if I got it right on purpose or wrong on purpose. But let's go.
Well, let me see. AG, this is the first question here. Which word is spelt and pronounced the same way in Spanish, English, French, and Italian?
There's punto, but it wouldn't fit in French. All out on the French category. Go ahead.
The word is actually tempo.
Whole street. In French, you have the reformation of the French language. And in the reformation of the French language, you technically don't use anglicized words. You use the French words. which is why in French they don't say 90, meaning 90, which Belgium uses. They say 90, which is 20s and a 10. So le tempo is an anglicized version of the French language, so it's not traditionally correct. So hard luck. I'm right, you may be right too, but you didn't specify.
I will take a dip.
I think you have to take a double dip, and out of respect for you, because you try a good thing, I will take one too.
All right.
So we're on the birties, right?
We're on the birties, man.
All right, you know I love my birties,
Let
right?
me go. This is the second question here, AG. Can you spell the word blanchishes for me?
Can I confess that spelling is not one of my strong points?
Try a thing, man.
At this point, afraid.
AG,
Hold
bring
on.
it up from your belly, now, man.
Let me show you how you do it, huh? You just pull out your phone,
Yeah, come down.
and then you just type it to make sure it's spell check correct, and then you go down that way.
Try a thing. Spell the word blanchishes for me.
The place where you do washing, I can tell you what it means. To do it on the side of the road, to blanch the things, to make it white or make it clean.
Right.
But I'm kind of afraid to spell it.
Try a thing now,
It's
man,
like a
AG.
morbid fear.
Do it for the hot
I
ones.
will make memes forever and spelling it wrong. How much double dip I dip in?
Take 3 dips for that one.
Take 3 dips?
What you gonna try?
I see no cues around me, you know. This set real dread, you know. I just have to tell you that. So blanchissures.
Yeah.
B-L-A-N-C-H. Blanche, E-S-S-I-E-U-R. Blanchissure. E-S? Somewhere close there. I'd have to write it to see it.
Look how we catch the AG on what you know.
I told you I wouldn't know. I need to write it to see it. I'm one of those literal things, and I need to see and then correct as I'm going along.
Right.
Hey, listen, true story. Preparing for common entrance, i.e. pre-SEA, I had a big battle with the word does.
That's serious.
Does the S come before the E and how it goes? My mother used to be ringing my ears over that.
Wow.
My sister
Does and
dying
does.
laughing. Yeah, it was rough.
The word is actually B-L-A-N-C-H-I-S-S-E-U-S-E. So if you didn't know,
I don't know.
now you
What you know, and you know the key in what you know is?
Right.
What you don't know.
Exactly.
And what you have the courage to say you don't know about.
Yes.
And
So you have one more
abilities.
question here.
Ready for you?
Which island is known as the Queen of the Caribbean?
The Queen of the Caribbean?
The Queen of the Caribbean.
It's independent or not? It's a overseas territory, like a British overseas territory or not? Look how I'm asking questions, my boy don't know now. Well, you know, huh? When you're asking for the little hints, there it's true that this has no hints. All right, officially I don't know. Let me throw out just a bold guess. The Queen of the Caribbean, no offense here, Grenada.
And the answer is Nevis.
I wouldn't have known that.
Queen of the
And
Caribbean.
here the joke now.
Tell me.
I just studied the whole constitution of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Now you know.
There you go.
How does our whole study process take, boy?
It's relevant. So it's not like you're just being a boring individual and going and read a book for, hey, I want to read the Constitution of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Yeah.
It's looking for examples that work right.
Wonderful.
So they are a unitary state, but they managed to devolve or hand over certain powers between St. Kitts and Nevis.
Right.
And they had a very robust constitution. So I like the Caribbean models there.
Okay.
And that's why I went in. So law is relevant. It's
Well,
not
you
just...
see, you teach me something too.
There you go.
This edition of Hot Ones Caribbean is brought to you by B-Mobile. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Who got the Caribbean views? What's the latest in Caribbean?
We're gonna move on to the next pepper sauce we have here on the table, which is actually the Matux Trinidad Scorpion Pepper.
Let me ask you something.
It is grown at home. Ask me.
I will ask you what you know.
Tell me. Because I know.
This name Matux, you know what it means? I'll give you a little bit of trivia. It's actually an Arabic word, right?
Right.
And it is ma'atuk in Arabic, right? And ma'atuk has a very interesting history. Ataka in Arabic means to release.
Okay.
Ma'atuk is the one who was released. So centuries ago, over 1,000+ years ago, when Islam came along and said that slavery was wrong, you released people out of bondage. Right? So ataka, release, ma'atuk, the one who's released. So it means the freed one. So it means freed. So when you see in the English word freeman, a person is a freeman. Freeman
Yes.
has a root in the free man because you lost your clan name. My clan name is Al-Rawi, right?
Right.
Al-Baghdadi, Al-Tikriti, Al-Duri, right? You'll have where you come from or your trade. So Matux has an interesting history, and I think it's so very Caribbean despite the name because it means freedman or somebody who's released. So folks, you want to be released with some great pepper? Matux.
Thank you so much for sharing that with me. You see, Hot Ones Caribbean is all about education, about Caribbean culture, about pepper, about hot celebrities, hot government officials. And thank you so much for educating us. But let's get into it.
Let's go. All right, so boss color. Familiar, long time. Matux been with us forever, right?
Right.
Geez, hold on. I need some I need some of my milk. Feeling it.
Pepper look like a defeat in your age.
Thank the Lord we could talk. Enjoy. Real good stuff. Okay. We dip in?
We dip in.
We dip in.
There we go.
All right. In, Lego, twist. By the way, it's not a boss word, Lego.
It's actually a black song as well.
Love it.
Spread your
One of
hands
my
and
best
go.
songs
Whoa.
ever.
You like that song?
Love it, love it, love it, love it.
Did you sing a piece of the song for me now, man?
Oh, jeez.
Come now, man.
I can embarrass myself.
Spread your hands and oh.
Hand in the air.
You were quoted recently in a Newsday article stating that the mother of all carnivals is on the horizon. So I want to ask you a really hot question here. It's a question on all of our minds right now. Will there be a Carnival 2022? Is that what you're referring to?
So, let me be abundantly clear. The Newsday apparently listened to about 3 seconds of my 2.5-hour conversation. The question that came to me was, amongst the artists and promoters, look, what can we expect in COVID going forward? Minister Randall Mitchell was on with me.
Yeah.
He announced the prioritization structures for artists, and insofar as COVID is now retreating, thankfully. And I cautioned, hey, COVID is not over. We have a lot coming still. The virus is here to stay. I said, look at Tokyo, the Olympics. I warned that there are variants on deck, Brazilian, South African, etc. And I said to them, Trinidad and Tobago, hold on to the benefits that we can get out of the state of emergency. Let's crush this virus and let's envisage a better post-world of COVID, post-Trinidad and Tobago COVID, where the next carnival that we have, whenever that may be, could be the mother of all carnivals. And then I made a call for the promoters and artists to encourage people to take the vaccine, to obey the measures, etc. So I hope that a carnival is there. I will be in every fete for the next carnival, whenever that carnival is. Post-COVID, I cannot wait for all the artists that held on to their juicy stuff and didn't drop it last year because we had no carnival. I can't wait to hear the music and the tempo. This is a Caribbean thing, eh? I mean, if you look at the music that is coming out of all of the islands, all of the Caribbean tempo.
Yes.
I think that last year was a year where a lot of artists would have held back on their performances. Maybe it's been a good year for people to come up with some bumper crops,
Yeah.
so that whenever we have the carnivals in the Caribbean, that we could drop some hot stuff.
Well, I know you had some great reviews about Barbados. So I want to take you to Barbados now with the next pepper sauce, which is the Old Duppy Fire Pooch pepper sauce.
What a name, eh? Raise your wing and Lego.
There you go.
Afraid.
I call this the mother of all pepper sauces.
This is good.
It is.
Kind of a smoky taste it. Very nice.
Most people say it's a creeper.
Oh, thanks for warning me. In mid-bite.
AJ, we have a recurring segment on this show called Explain That Gram, powered by B-Mobile. And it's a segment where we do a deep dive, or as we in the Caribbean will say, we macro, or we dig up in the
Oh,
Instagram.
jeez, afraid.
And find some posts that we think need some more context. So, I'm going to show you an assortment of images. And then I'll give me the explanation behind these images.
I like him, I enjoy it. So go ahead. Treat me easier.
This is image number 1. What was your role at this Caribbean's very own royal wedding?
Okay, Marshall Montano is a South man.
Right.
He went to Presentation College, San Fernando. He came in as a youngster, and I was a couple years ahead of him. And my heart went out to Marshall in every sense of the word. He was bright, he was talented, but he fell into the typical aspects of, the youngest guy in school coming in. He could be bullied.
Right.
And I ensured, as I would with anybody else, that Marshall was safe. So Marshall always tells me that he never forgets that factor. And we had just had the COVID restrictions happen, and we built in record time the Red House out to final completion. We moved back the Parliament to the seat of power. Now, I'm the minister with responsibility for legal affairs, and marriages fall under me. And I recall everybody in this country of a particular time saying, I get married in the Red House, at a Red House wedding. So I asked the Prime Minister to consider returning wedding ceremonies that the Legal Affairs Office does at the Red House. And the cabinet was very warm to that idea. And Marshall turned up and he said, I want a Red House wedding. I was like, Marshall, we're doing this. So Marshall took the journey to the Red House, and he asked me to come. And he said, Faris, do me a favor now. Just wear white, because all of us wearing white. So I was like, sure, I'll be happy to be there. And then it started to rain.
Right.
And my boy arrived at the event, and you can't see your partner getting wet on his wedding day.
Yeah,
so
man.
I met him at the car and popped up the umbrella and took him inside. It was a wonderful experience.
Your family seems very important to you. How do you balance the family
You
life?
need to do a redo on that picture. That picture is 6 years old. So my daughters are all grown up. My
Right.
son is all grown up. He's now in third year university doing med. The one next to him is first year dentistry in Spain. And the little one in the middle is in upper six.
But that's why we just do a deep dive.
Yeah, that's a deep
So it don't
dive.
matter if it past
So,
20 years, it's
Just
alright.
interesting to see your kids when they're all adults now.
Exactly.
I'm looking at you that way.
But how you balance family life with the work life?
Family life is number one. My designated job at home as I arrive with my headphones on is to head towards the sink and wash the wares. Because my wife says, that's how she walk.
Right.
Right?
So she ain't washing with, so you just wash all the wares there.
She's a great lawyer. She's particularly talented at all she does, so she feeds us. So I'm happy. So people kind of get used to this thing. Like, Faris, what are you doing, boy? What's that water sound? It's like, guys, I'm a multitasker. So I might be on the spin bike or I might be washing wares. So family life is really important.
Right.
It's hard to juggle this position. It's hard to leave the baggage by the door because you're coming home with a lot on your plate.
Yeah.
Any minute that I get to spend with family is cherished time.
Good.
I love every single minute of it. And I thank God that they put up with me in terms of the pressures and the spotlighting.
Of the public life.
For teenagers, it can't be easy to have your name in the papers or people say certain things about you, meaning your family name. And it's not an easy journey. So
Yeah.
I just have to say that I'm blessed with a particularly strong and courageous family. And I thank God for that.
Wonderful. The PM recently announced that this term will be his last term in office. May very well be his last term. So I must ask, are you in the hot seat or?
I not buying that. I think that this country needs Keith Christopher Rowley, in all seriousness. I think that we've just gone through and are going through some of the roughest times. He's in great physical health. He's in sharp focus. I personally think that he needs to continue. So I'll be looking to shackle him to the job, because the reason that I signed up for this walk is because of him. I would not have probably entered into political frontline work if it wasn't for the fact that Keith Rowley was the guy that I was following.
This edition of Hot Ones Caribbean is brought to you by Popeyes. This edition of Hot Ones Caribbean is brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and the Arts, Trinidad and Tobago.
You've made it to the final source here. And the final sauce is actually the habanero 100% scorpion pepper sauce.
Whole stream. Folks, I'm not joking. This Enjoy Milk
Faris drink all the milk, yes?
has been my savior. I'm not a milk drinker and I'm really enjoying this.
Yeah, well,
All right,
sip up.
I'm officially beginning to tear up.
Right.
Peeling this. So it's settling in.
Well, it's tradition for us to do here, the hot ones, to do something called the last dab, where you add an extra dab of pepper sauce.
Ooh, let me
on
check
the
this
piece of
out.
chicken.
Habanero, Trinidad. 100% authentic Trinidad. I'm tearing up right now
So with this
because
one,
I know this one.
we ain't dipping the wing inside. We're taking the shot glass and we're pouring out the pepper sauce on the chicken.
Hear that technical term. I'm not so sure about that, you know.
Alright,
Oh,
so
geez, scorpion pepper is rough.
the last dab,
You sure you can manage this?
I could manage. Just go now, man.
So we're really pouring it out?
Pouring it out together.
All right, medics on standby. Oh, geez. All right,
You ready?
we pour in, right?
Coat the wing. Let's go.
Notice he didn't say how much, huh? Oh, I ain't abrade. Getting 3 drops or no?
Show it to the camera. Let me see.
Ashamed to say, huh?
Alright,
You
alright.
ready?
Let's go.
Set. This one is not a creeper. This one is a kicker.
Where you going over there?
Oh, gee. That is hot boss pepper. Real deal.
You're enjoying it by handling it. And this is the hot moment sponsored by Andrews.
I don't know if I could eat the cardboard Andrews in one shot, but if I could at this point, I would. I'd just
would.
grab the pack and not dissolve and not take the
Don't
tablet.
worry, you have a lot of water and a lot of milk over there. So the life of a public figure has a lot of different moments. Oh, good. And this is one of the moments. Here. Pressure.
I feel like
Feel like what? Like Hulk? And what really annoys the AG, and you can't use jackass in the scene as an answer. Well, it's a valid answer. It's a valid answer, but we ain't taking that. What annoys the AG?
people have triggers. You know what your triggers are? Your triggers are what you feel the opposite of your strengths are. So if you're hardworking, if somebody calls you lazy, that's a trigger. If you're honest and somebody says you're a liar, that's your trigger. So I genuinely, despite being lighthearted and accommodating, I believe in preparation and I believe in homework. I don't believe in flying by the seat of your pants. I believe that you should stand up and just start. You don't wait for perfection, right?
Yeah.
You give it your roadmap. So what triggers me? Lack of preparation. Intellectual dishonesty. What really triggers me is a bully. I don't like bullies. And what I mean by bullies is people that abuse a position of power. And that power could be anything. It could be in a romantic relationship. It could be a boss and an employee. It could be your neighbor next door. I don't like bullies. It's one of the reasons why I'm in public life. I don't like bullies.
And now I'm gonna roll out the red carpet for you, AG, and give you an uninterrupted 30 seconds to promote what you want to promote. So this camera, talk to the people. What do you want to promote, AG?
We have to have faith that there's a better life ahead of us. To Trinidad and Tobago in particular, perhaps the rest of the Caribbean, we have to dare to dream of the space that we want to live in. The reality is that people now choose their version of reality based upon opinions that they can select from. Lots of opinions around. I would like us to be boldly inspired. I'd like us to dream of a better future. I'd really like us to focus on issues and less on people. What do I stand for? I want change. I want to protect the vulnerable. I want to protect women. How? What are you for and what are you against? So I'd like to say my plea: more focus, issue orientation, daring to dream of a better place and space for us to be in, and putting ourselves there. And pay it back or pay it forward. If you are the fastest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room. Time to move to another room where you're the slowest guy in the room and learning the curve. Do you have an element of stretch in your lives? Are you comfortable in your life going from point A to point B and you're doing that rhythm over and over again like sleepwalking? Or are you stretching yourself? And what I mean by stretch, I mean community stretch. Yeah, we go to church, you give offerings in church, you give zakat in Islam, you did charity. There are lots of that going on. But how much do you stretch out of yourself and your circle? The most generous people in life that I have met are the people in political service, the ground troops. Those young ladies and women that have nothing to their name and go and help a sister or go and help a family and feed them and make sure they're okay. That's the positive side of politics. So that's my 2 cents. And to Tempo, thanks a million for having me here and for giving me this opportunity. Big fan of yours and big fan of Tempo. I think the Caribbean needs to be one. So peace and blessings, and folks, Scorpion Pepper, deadly.
AG, you were victorious, you did us proud, you did the Caribbean proud. My name is Daniel Loveless, and this was another episode of Hot Ones Caribbean. That was your AG Faris Al-Rawi, and that was a hot one. See you next time.
You know you are a hot one. We are lime, we are laugh, we are chat, we no chill, we are
AG, mash up the place, boy.
Let me see how they edit it.
It's a hot one. Link up, connect, but I sweat when you're the hot one.
This edition of Hot Ones Caribbean is brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and the Arts, Trinidad and Tobago. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Who got the Caribbean views? What's the latest in Caribbean news? You trying to cook Caribbean food? You know they got the music videos too.